Well, the first thing that Bart said to me privately, as soon as the debate was over,
Listen closely.
is that that he didn't like.
Jimmy's pointing out that in his debate, which we covered on this channel, that Bart Ehrman agrees on a lot of major claims.
I put him in this terrible position because I've using his own words to prove his case.
Right.
So I knew I was going to do well. What I didn't know was how mad I was going to make him.
Ruslan.
Did Jimmy Akin have a good debate against Bart Ehrman? All right. We have somebody live with us in the chat who thinks he did not perform well. I think Jimmy Akin had a fantastic debate. I am not very intimidated by Bart Ehrman. I think there's a lot of fluff and a lot of sleight of hand with regarding to numbering the variants without people really understanding what those mean. I think he generally goes after a very myopic view of inerrancy, which is a relatively modern doctrine. Did he not do a great job in the debate? Well, let's see. Let's see what the evidence is. I'm going in blind into this clip. Now, again, my position is that he did a great job. This is my buddy Matt Fratt's podcast. Shout out to him. A great podcaster. I've been on his channel. You should go watch my podcast with him if you haven't. So let's see what Jimmy Akin says here.
And found where he agrees that the Gospels are right on all these major claims.
Right.
And he agrees the Gospels are right on all these intermediate claims.
Right.
And he agrees the Gospels are right on all these minor claims. And he's actually only criticizing a handful of minor claims.
Minor claims and seeming contradictions.
So he has not, even if we grant him that the Gospels were not right about these minor claims, which I don't grant, but even if we were to grant that, it doesn't counterbalance the dozens of things he agrees they're right about.
Because, again, usually what you'll find is people are, in my opinion, chasing ghosts around a very specific fundamentalist version of inerrancy. Not historical preservation, not inspiration, but a very specific version of inerrancy. And if you look up the doctrine of inerrancy, it's actually relatively modern. I'm not sure if you guys know this. The doctrine of inerrancy of Scripture is a relatively modern point. Jimmy's pointing out that in his debate, which we covered on this channel, that Bart Ehrman agrees on a lot of major claims, okay?
And so Bart Ehrman himself concedes the data that shows the Gospels are reliable. Well, I knew that he wasn't going to be able to argue against that. That puts him in an impossible position of disavowing his own work. So he's going to, he could quibble and say, well, I changed my mind on a couple of these points. But he's got to acknowledge he has said that this stuff is reliable. And so I knew he agreed to that. I put him in this terrible position because I've using his own words to prove his case.
Right.
So I knew I was going to do well. What I didn't know was how mad I was going to make him. Because
you made him mad?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, I see. Prior. You wasn't sure how he was going to react to that.
Exactly. Because I've seen instances where he turns really cold and really angry and is ruthless in debates.
He said he didn't know how mad he was going to make him. Yeah, my guess would be that Bart Ehrman is perhaps, from Jimmy's perspective, a more seasoned debater, and Jimmy Akin didn't want to make him mad. He wanted to get on his good side and be kind to him and be polite to him as a tactic to win him over and show all the things they agreed upon. So that's why he put together a whole website, and it's all the facts where him and Bart agree. And there's a lot of stuff that they agree on. So then when you get past all of this stuff, what you're really disagreeing on is like a couple minute points that Bart Ehrman has with Jimmy about how could Jesus's family seemingly own two properties, and what about the zombies, and what about, right? I don't think that these are crazy things to disagree about. Like, these are, go and do this research on your own about all the things they agree on. I think this is a brilliant tactic on Jimmy Akin's part in terms of Bart Ehrman's own quotes and own conclusions. The Occupy Till I Come 60-day devotional is back in stock. We had these available through Black Friday and Christmas. We sold out. Now they are back fully in stock. This is taking you through the entire narrative of the Scriptures in 60 days with custom daily devotional prompts. So what you're doing is you're spending 35 days in the Old Testament, 25 days in the New Testament, going over all the major stories. There's additional reading for you to go deeper if you want to go deeper on the stories, and the custom journal prompts. This is the devotional I wish I had 20 years ago when I was just coming to the faith, and I just wanted to get a macro grasp on the overall narrative of the Scripture. So these are back in stock, and you can get them right now bundled up with a virtual ticket to our Bless God Summit. If you guys didn't know, the Bless God Summit is coming up March 27th, 28th, 29th in beautiful Southern California. My favorite podcasters, apologists, pastors, preachers, entrepreneurs, all in the same room. Day 1, we're talking about apologetics. Day 2, we're talking about virtue. Day 3, we're going out into the marketplace and being the hands and feet of Jesus. This is going to be a wonderful event. And what you could do is you could actually get the devotional bundled with the virtual ticket for only $65. The virtual ticket on its own is $50. You can bundle it for $65, which means that you're getting one of these for $15. So go to blessgodshop.com. Get yourself a 60-day devotional. I promise you the feedback on these has been crazy. You will love it. Designed by my guy, Josh Nadeau from Sword and Pencil. The beautiful artwork, okay? So go to blessgod.shop. Get yours now, okay? Mean the world to me.
Now, Bart Ehrman is a world-class textual scholar. I mean, he worked with Kurt Aland, who was the guy behind modern manuscript science in the mid-20th century. And Bart Ehrman is, I mean, he is top rung when it comes to manuscript science.
Okay.
Well,
Agreed.
In this debate with White, White at one point tried to make himself sound superior.
Yeah, that's fair. The White should not have made himself sound superior to Bart Ehrman. If anyone knows Bart Ehrman's credentials and knows White's credentials, that would probably look fugazi to them. Fair enough. That doesn't mean that James White's claims or arguments were inferior, even though he could have made that mistake. I think James White, when he cornered him, and he does the same thing as here. Hey, we believe on all these things, and we believe that none of the variants make any difference. And I think Bart's arguments fall apart, in my opinion.
To Ehrman on a textual matter. And Ehrman flipped and became incredibly cold and raked James White over the coals in the cross-examination period. So you took this position on this. Can you name all of the world-class textual scholars that you know that take your position? And he can't really come up with the kind of names that Ehrman is asking him for. Can you see these other names here that Ehrman personally knew, are taking this other position that's contrary to yours? And it was humiliating for White to watch.
I don't know if it was humiliating to White, but yes, White seemingly made the mistake of trying to position himself as on the same playing field with Bart Ehrman as a textual scholar. Bad look. Fair enough. I don't think that means that Jimmy Akin did a bad job. If anything, this just confirms what I said earlier, and I said in my initial analysis, Jimmy Akin did a really good job, arguably one of the best jobs against Bart Ehrman in a debate.
Watch Ehrman.
And again, props to the Catholics. Yeah, you guys got a massive W on this one. All props to the Catholics for this one. Jimmy Akin's a Catholic. I rock with it.
And do this to him.
So you say cold, but it doesn't sound inappropriate, though. It sounds very appropriate.
But it was ruthless.
I see.
And I didn't know. I didn't want to get in that same kind of situation. And so,
wise on his part. You catch more bees with honey. Very wise on his part.
Because it's possible for him to pull credentials on me and say, well, I'm this world-class textual scholar. You're not.
Yeah.
I have my own expertise, but that puts me in a defensive position.
Yes.
So what I knew was I'm going to use Ehrman's own words against him to prove my case.
As you should.
But I need to do it in the friendliest possible way.
Right.
Because I don't want to offend him, and I don't want this to become a peeing match in front of the audience. So I pre-planned elements in my presentation to be positive to Bart.
Like when you gave him a high five.
Exactly. That was one of the pre-planned ones. Yeah. As I was going through the major claims of the Gospels, one of them, Jesus existed. And so, who else said that? Bart Ehrman. Let's give Bart Ehrman a big hand. I talked about his book that he'd written against Jesus mythicists, acknowledging that Jesus existed. I walked over and said,
I think Bart Ehrman has helped a lot of Christian apologists.
High five, gave him a high five.
Right.
Got him a round of applause. Yeah. I, gave him a hug at one point. Okay. All of this was stuff that I had thought of as ways of trying to keep the emotions friendly.
Yeah.
While I'm at the same time being as devastating as possible to his case. So, and that's part of my philosophy. I want to argue as apologetically, as rigorously as I can.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be humiliating about it. I want to be effective, but I want to be positive and personable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I took the approach I did. So I knew that I would do well. I didn't know if I'd be able to keep things friendly.
Yeah.
But I was, and that was great. My suspicion is that I've done better against Bart than other Christian apologists.
Yeah,
I would say
on this issue.
Yeah.
He privately, now we had agreed to debate the proposition the Gospels are not historically reliable, with the word "not" in there. because normally it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to put the burden on the skeptic for once.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't always need to be the believer who has the burden.
Come on.
Let's put the burden on the skeptic for once and see how well he can defend that position.
Yeah.
So,
Come on,
so
Jimmy.
Bart had to take the lead,
Yes.
and then I just had to critique him.
Come on.
And I think that's perfectly fair. It doesn't matter which way a position is framed. It can be argued either way.
Yep.
Well, the first thing that Bart said to me privately, as soon as the debate was over,
Listen closely.
is that that he didn't like the framing of the debate because it required him to prove a negative.
He said that to you privately.
Ha! Got him. No, I'm just joking. Bart Ehrman, if you're watching this, I don't want no smoke, bro. We would have to, if I ever debated Bart Ehrman, it'd have to be something very, 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 very rudimentary after a nice steak dinner, get him nice and calm and relaxed. I don't want no smoke with Bart Ehrman. But I'm not that impressed with the, outside of getting into minutia and weeds, I'm just not that impressed with his arguments. I know he's like the gold standard, but I think, if anything, he just reconfirms and re-edifies my faith and challenges my faith.
After the debate.
Yes, while we were still on stage.
Oh, really?
And that told
That
me...
almost sounds like an admission. Like I just lost this debate. And I wish...
What it told me is he didn't...
Where you at, Jamie? Jamie, where you at? Send me another super chat, because I pulled this up just for you, my brother. I need another super chat. Or go buy a ticket to the Bless God Summit, virtual summit. Get your apologetics in order. We'll get you set right. Unfortunately, Jimmy Akin's not coming, but we got some other heavy hitters. Inspiring Philosophy, Dr. Sean McDowell is coming. Lila Rose, she's a Catholic. Goodness, shout out to the Catholics, right? We have Dallas Jenkins. Get yourself a ticket to the Bless God Summit as a favor. For me pulling this up for you and this making my point, go send me a super chat or go get yourself a ticket.
Do as well as he had hoped he wanted, because if you have done as well as you hope to do, the first thing you say privately is not to criticize the way the debate proposition was framed.
Yeah, that you agreed to.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pines for playing. Shout out to Jimmy Akin. That was marvelous. That was marvelous. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.